The warm breath of the Dornish dawn drifted over Sunspear in shimmering veils, painting the dun-brown domes and slim towers rose-gold as the sun clambered above the Sea of Dorne. In the water gardens the date palms rustled, their fronds whispering like court conspirators, though the gardens themselves lay all but empty save for the mild gurgle of mosaicked fountains and the haunting calls of gulls that wheeled beyond the lattice of orange trees. Prince Doran Nimrose Martell watched the sea from the highest balcony of the Tower of the Sun, his soft hands resting on the polished sandstone balustrade. In the rosy hush of first light, he might almost have forgotten the ravens, the smell of sealing wax, and the thunder of approaching war. Almost Elia, he thought for the 1000th time, his sister whose laughter had once echoed through these same gardens. Somewhere below, the sweet, shrill voices of his own young daughter Arianne drifted upward like swallows riding the air, but her mirth tugged a knife across his heart. Every child's laughter reminded him of Elia's children, and of how they had died. Babies smashed against a wall, a mother cut open as she pleaded for mercy. The sun might rise over Dorne each morning, but for Doran it had grown dimmer day by day. Footsteps, soft as a sandcat's, sounded behind him. "My prince." Maester Caliot bowed with the stiff tenderness of age, presenting a roll of parchment sealed in black wax. Even without opening it, Doran felt the weight of its import sink into his bones. He bade the maester read, preferring to hear bitter tidings spoken aloud, perhaps hoping they might become less terrible for being shared. The maester's voice trembled. Sack of King's Landing complete. Rhaegar's children dead. Princess Elia slain. A pause swallowed the rest of the words, carefully chosen words. Yet Doran could still taste the copper tang of blood in them. Robert Baratheon had triumphed. Rhaegar lay dead upon the trident, and now Elia, Princess of Dorne and beloved sister, joined her husband and children in whatever fate the stranger bestowed. Doran's knuckles whitened on the balustrade. He closed his eyes, and for a heartbeat he felt the balcony sway beneath him as if Sunspear itself had tottered. "Send ravens to every lord in Dorne," he murmured at last, voice like wind eroding stone. "Summon them to Sunspear in 2 fortnights. We will hear their counsel." Maester Caliot hesitated. "And Prince Oberyn? My brother knows already." The red viper's rage would hiss like hot venom across the sands, and Doran feared the depth of that poison. Yet even Oberyn must wait a moment, the first tactical decision of many, to see how Dorne would answer. Oberyn Martell returned to Sunspear 3 days later, dusty from the long ride up the Greenblood. His eyes burned bright, like twin coals fanned by the wind, and he burst into the water gardens with scarcely a nod to the guards. Doran sat beneath an awning of silk, feet soaking in cool mosaic tiles, seeking in vain the serenity of lapping water. Oberyn bent only half as far as courtesy required. "Will we strike or will we hide?" he asked, and power crackled in his tone. "We are not ready to strike." Doran's own voice was a still pool, hiding its currents. "Nor will we hide. Dorne remembers, brother, but memory alone wins no wars." "The Dornish remember?" Oberyn barked a laugh. "What of Elia's memory when the mountain's axe crushed her babe? I mean to carve her name into Lannister flesh. And do you think Tywin's walls will yield to one man's fury?" Doran whispered, wary of servants' ears. "A war of vengeance is still a war. The Reach would ride north, the Stormlands west. The North and Vale ready themselves behind Robert's banners. We would bleed the desert red for generations, and perhaps forget Elia in the doing." "So you would do nothing?" "Not nothing." Doran's gaze drifted to the horizon where sky met sea, a place of illusions. "We bide our sandstorm until the right wind carries it." Oberyn scowled but said no more. Yet beneath his silence, fires smoldered. In the throne room of Sunspear, lords and knights of every Dornish house assembled in cavernous rows. Spears knocked iron upon the flagstones as banners rustled overhead. The black scorpion of House Corgyle, the man dancing on flames of House Illyrian, the blazing sun and spear of Nimrose Martell. At the raised dais Prince Doran reclined in a wrought gold chair, every motion deliberate, the image of thoughtful patience. Beside him stood Oberyn, restless, a panther caged. Dorne rose. "Friends, sons, and daughters of Queen Nymeria," he began, invoking the legendary Rhoynar queen who had once led them to these desert shores. "The Dragon Kings have fallen, yet their embers remain. Robert Baratheon sits his iron chair in King's Landing, and Tywin Lannister, who gave no quarter to women or babes, rules in all but name." Murmurs rolled through the hall like the first wind of a storm. Dorne lifted a scroll. "From Dragonstone comes news that Queen Riella has borne a daughter, Daenerys of House Targaryen, only days past. A princess without a realm, a babe without a future, unless..." His dark eyes swept the hall. "We choose otherwise." Silence clamped jaws and stilled tongues. Lord Jordain of the Tor broke it first. "A babe will not command armies, my prince." "Yet she commands a claim," Dorne countered. "The line of old Valyria still courses through her veins, and she is kin to us through Elia." He let the name hang heavy. "I propose we declare for Daenerys Stormborn, rightful queen of the Seven Kingdoms, and pledge our swords to her cause." Whispers flared hotter than torch flames. Lord Euler, broad of shoulder and fierce of brow, growled, "It is a long road between pledge and victory. We would stand alone." "Not alone," Oberyn cut in, his voice as swift as a snake's strike. "There are lords disgruntled by Robert's usurpation. The Tyrells lost no love for the Baratheon who slew their sworn king, though presently they bow to him. The remnants of House Targaryen will rally if we march beneath the red three-headed dragon. And the Reach folk still recall Rhaegar's courtesy at Tourney. But the North and the Vale," someone began. "Will nurse their wounded and count their dead," Dorne replied, "and perhaps ponder whether Robert's crown glitters less than his promises." He spread his hands. "Dorne has waited centuries for the right moment to shape the fate of Westeros. Elaya's death gives us cause. Daenerys' birth gives us banner. Will you ride with me?" One by one, the lords knelt, placing sunburnt palms upon cool tile as they swore the old Rhoynar words of obedience. Unbowed, unbent, unbroken. When at last the oath reached the echoing roof beams, Dorne exhaled, the stone inside his chest loosening. Yet the first step into defiance weighed heavier than any vow. Ravens would soon soar northward, and with them the news that Dorne had set itself against Robert's reign. Word galloped across the kingdoms upon feathered wings. In Storm's End, Robert Baratheon's laughter boomed like thunder when he read the missive. A desert kingdom naming a suckling babe as queen. "Let them choke on sand," he bellowed, flagons sloshing ale across the map. But Eddard Stark, newly returned from the warpath, frowned at the Dornish sigil drawn beside Dragonstone and wondered how stony beaches and burning dunes might forge a path to vengeance. In Casterly Rock, Lord Tywin sat rigid as aged oak, eyelids lowered, mouth thin as parchment. "Dispatch Ser Gregor with 300 men to the Prince's Pass. Kill enough peasants to stuff their wells with corpses," he said to his castellan. Dornish pride wilts without water. Across the summer sea, in the ragged fortress of Dragonstone, Ser Willem Darry cradled infant Daenerys while Viserys, a boy of 8, paced circles around the red stony chamber. Ravens arrived daily now, but the Dornish letter left him wide-eyed. "They wish to crown my sister," he breathed. "Then crown her, and me as her prince regent." In the cradle, Daenerys gurgled, tiny fingers closing around Ser Willem's thumb. The first banners marched from Sunspear beneath an autumn sun that scorched plate armor like a blacksmith's forge. Oberyn rode at their head, a spear gleaming in his hand, a trail of sand vipers painted upon his crimson cloak. The desert sang beneath thousands of boot heels, and dust clouds climbed into the sky like curtains unveiling destiny. Prince Doran did not ride. Gout gnawed his joints, and strategy chained him to Sunspear's map-strewn war room. He sent stiller weapons, silencers with coins for tongues, spies disguised as septons, whispers seated in Stormlander taverns and Reachman harvest fields. Let rumor gallop swifter than horseflesh. Tell them King Robert's throne tottered on the edge of rebellion. Tell them Elaya's ghost haunted Lannister halls. Tell them a dragon princess would soon return, borne upon Dornish spears. The Dornish host threaded the Prince's Pass, where the mountains clenched like gray teeth. Soon they met the forces of House Dane at the water-blessed holdfast of High Hermitage. Beyond the armies, the silver blade Dawn rested in the crypts, waiting for a true warrior to wield it again. But that legend, like so much else, lay for another chapter, and so the armies marched northward. At Summerhall's scorched ruins they paused. Ash charred the ground still, years after wildfire devoured the Targaryen summer palace. Oberyn walked alone among the blackened stones, fingers brushing relics half buried in soot. A child's singed doll, the curve of a melted helm. Here, Ares the Mad once kindled dreams of dragons reborn and instead birthed only pyre and ruin. Yet Oberyn saw poetry in the place. Targaryen ashes, Dornish vows, and a princess's future forged from the cinders of a burned past. Robert's banners converged upon King's Landing, called home by urgency. Stannis from Dragonstone, Renly from Storm's End, Lord Arryn from the Eyrie. Eddard Stark rode south too, though every mile wore Ned's patience thinner. He had seen enough death for 10 lifetimes. He yearned for the snows of Winterfell and Catelyn's arms. Yet honor pulled him onward. In the Red Keep's small council chamber, the air thickened with sweat and clashing wills. "Let us send our fleets to Dragonstone," Stannis urged, jaw clenched. "Cut off any possibility of Dornish ships ferrying men to Viserys and his whelp." Renly scoffed. "The Dornish march by land, brother. Your fleet is a sword pointed at waves." "And what of the Reach?" Lord Arryn asked softly. Lord Mace Tyrell's loyalty waned when his beloved King Aerys died. If he sense weakness, he may lend an ear to Dorne. "Then I will show them strength." Robert hammered fist to table, golden stags quivering upon wine cups. "I crushed Rhaegar. I'll crush Nymeria's son-lovers too. Ned, ride ahead and secure the Riverlands. Break bread with old Hoster Tully. Remind him his daughters lie in both north and south. Jon Arryn, see that Lord Mace's purse outweighs Dornish promises. And Stannis, yes, your grace. Burn Dragonstone if you must, but bring me the last Targaryens. Dead or alive, I care not." Stannis bowed, though distaste curdled his stern features. Ned watched, heart sinking. Robert's warhammer had not changed to crown and scepter but remained a cudgel. The Dornish column reached the King's Road near Bitterbridge, where green fields replaced arid scrub. Farmers watched in uneasy awe as the sun and spear standard rippled above helmed riders in copper and crimson. Yet, on the fourth night, encamped beside the Mander, horns brayed alarm. A force of 2,000 Stormlords under Lord Bryce Caron fell upon the Dornish flank under starlight. Oberyn mounted his black courser, hair streaming beneath the silver moon. "Spear walls, shields locked," he cried. The Dornish shield line rippled like a coral reef, hard and bright under the assault. Steel clashed, arrows hissed, war cries keened across dark water meadows. Lord Caron's men fought with the fury of sworn brothers defending their king, but Oberyn's warriors fought with memory, with Elaya's name upon their tongues. By dawn the grass lay trampled to mire, soaked in blood. The Stormlords broke and fled south, leaving Lord Caron pinned beneath a dead destrier. Oberyn approached, spear dripping. The Stormlander coughed red froth. "You fight for an infant," he gasped. "I fight for ghosts," Oberyn answered, and plunged the spear into his throat. Scouts returned with word. The Reach mustered at Bitterbridge under Lord Mace Tyrell. 20,000 men, plus knights and mounted archers. But the Tyrell host lingered, uncertain whether to advance. Rumor of Robert's wrath warred against curiosity, and Tyrell pride vied with opportunism. The Dornish pressed north regardless. Each league traveled was a league deeper into enemy realm, but also one less for reinforcements to march when their dragon queen called. In the Vale, Lisa Arryn gave her lord husband a son at last, and Jon Arryn's council chambers turned inward, busy with wet nurses and soft lullabies. Across the icy north, Eddard Stark met his liege Lord Hoster Tully at Riverrun. Old Hoster, gout-riddled and suspicious, read Dornish tidings with trembling hands. He asked what Ned planned should Dorne take King's Landing. "I long for home," Ned said, gray eyes weary. "But if Robert calls, I answer. Still, there is much grief on both sides. Perhaps a peace might be brokered if the Babe Queen is wed to the rightful heir of Baratheon blood one day." Hoster grunted. "You speak of Renly, perhaps?" He squinted. "A lad untested. A babe can grow," Ned allowed. "So can realms." He wondered whether Robert would hear such counsel or cast it aside like an empty goblet. Ser Willem Darry, guardian at Dragonstone, read the Dornish letter thrice more, then told Viserys. "Prince Sunspear proposes marriage. Daenerys to some Martell scion when she comes of age. In return they ask we send Dragonstone's garrison south at once." Viserys puffed out his chest. "We shall." But Dragonstone's meager garrison numbered fewer than 500, and half stood barefoot. Ser Willem knew it would be a death march, yet he saw the flame in Viserys' violet eyes. Targaryen pride would not cower while Dornish lives bled for their claim. By moonrise 3 worn ships eased from Dragonstone's harbor, banners of the 3-headed dragon rippling in briny winds. In the captain's cabin Ser Willem held Daenerys, swaddled in silk. "Hush now," he whispered as waves slapped hull. "Soon you shall find friends beneath a red sun." Above them, Viserys stared toward the southern horizon, imagining a crown. In Sunspear's map room, red wax markers sprouted across parchment. Dornish spears near the Blackwater Rush, Tyrell roses hovering like uncertain bees, a lion sigil creeping from Casterly Rock as Lord Tywin's host assembled. Doran's heart panged each time the lion advanced 1 inch. He issued orders. A swift force of 300 sand steeds to slip past the Kingswood and Harry supply trains bound for King's Landing. His brother Oberyn would lure Tyrells toward the town of Byford, where the Mander's floodplains could bog heavy cavalry. Most important, he sent a raven-dripping black wax to King's Landing itself, addressed not to the King's Hand nor to Robert, but to Grand Maester Pycelle. The letter spoke nothing of war. Instead it listed in patient, damning detail the atrocities at Elaya's death. Eyewitness accounts Doran's agents had coaxed from silent mouths, and concluded with the promise that Dorne would deliver proof to every great house unless Gregor Clegane and Amory Lorch were surrendered for Dornish justice within a moon's turn. A subtle trap. If Pycelle withheld it, Robert must wonder what his counselor knew. If he delivered it, Tywin's pride would bristle. A game of ravens and daggers, yet Doran prayed it bought time. At Byford, summer storms turned fields to sucking mud. Lord Mace Tyrell's bright-plumed knights sank to their stirrups, cursing as Dornish arrows buzzed from hedgerows. Oberyn danced through rain, spear cutting arcs of silver water and red blood. A Tyrell banner slipped, sodden, into black mire. By dusk, House Tyrell pulled back, humiliated, though neither side claimed decisive victory. It mattered little. Rumor would paint it as Dornish prowess. Yet war is a beast that devours victories the way wildfire devours oaken beams. The day after Byford, scouts spied Lannister standards near Harrenhal, draped in crimson and gold, advancing southeast with grim inevitability. Lord Tywin moved to link with Robert, yawning jaws closing around the Dornish spearpoint. The Reach might yet swing fully north to redeem honor, and the Stormlands to west, they risked encirclement. Oberyn dispatched riders to Sunspear. "We require the Dragon's Wing." The Dragon's Wing, Ser Willem's garrison, sailed up the narrow sea, battered by storm and short on rations. Sails torn to ribbons flapped like the wings of wounded birds. Yet on the 8th night they slipped into the estuary of the Blackwater, unseen, landing beneath the crumbling walls of the old Valerion Tower. They carried few men, but enough to breathe Targaryen blood into Dornish ranks. When Ser Willem stepped onto Westerosi soil, he knelt and placed Daenerys on the sand, letting her tiny fingers clutch a shell. "Your realm awaits, princess," he murmured. Oberyn welcomed them with a fierce grin, but tears gleamed in his eyes when he beheld the babe, Rhaegar's child, Elaya's niece, living testament. He swore upon his spear that no harm would reach her. Meanwhile, Doran played his own quiet game. Under moonless skies, a small skiff bearing a black sun banner crept to the stepstones. where sail captains drank and plotted. Doran promised gold to those who would harry red wine fleets bound for King's Landing. Starving a capital could prove swifter than any sword. In the courts of Sunspear, he met again with the lords. "Our armies risk being caught between lion and stag," he admitted. "We must consider retreat, strengthen positions along the Blackwater, and invite siege upon the Dornish lines. Every day Robert camps without victory bleeds him coin and allegiance." Lord Euler growled. "Retreat stinks of fear." "Strategic patience," Doran corrected, but inside he feared the same. Yet cool silence could be sharper than spear points. Sunspear's spymaster whispered that House Hightower questioned Tyrell's delays, that Stormlander garrisons muttered about Robert's obsession with old grievances. Seeds sprouted in unpredictable soils. On a smoky morning near Hayford, banners converged like thunderheads. Robert's army, fierce and vast, hammered against the Dornish vanguard arrayed behind low palisades of felled pine. Oberyn strode the line. "Remember Elia," he shouted. Thousands roared her name. Baratheon horns blew. The ground trembled beneath a charge of mailed destriers. Arrows shrieked. Spears braced, shields braced, hearts braced. A clash like a smith's anvil rang across the valley. Hours later, rain mixed with blood pooled at Oberyn's boots. Dornish lines held. Yet Robert's relentless assaults pressed them closer to the Blackwater. Oberyn fought like the song said Nymeria's husbands had fought, fearless and fluid. He knocked a Baratheon shield aside, punched spear through a gap in Brigandine, and kicked free. Yet he felt the strain of each breath, the heaviness of each heartbeat. Victory measured itself now in feet of ground, not miles, and every foot cost lives he counted by the dozens. That night he walked among the wounded. Men moaned, crying for mothers lost years ago. Oberyn knelt by a young spearman whose legs ended in bloody stumps. "Was it worth it?" the boy gasped. The prince did not answer. He slipped a draught of poppy to the boy's lips instead. In King's Landing, the small folk gaped at the new banners shivering north of the river. Tales filtered into taverns. Dornish devils, baby dragons, King Robert wounded by a spear. The truth, a scratch across his arm. Still, fear flows faster than cider, and soon riots flickered in Flea Bottom, quenched only by gold cloaks wielding cudgels. Grand Maester Pycelle delivered Doran's accusation to the king at last. Robert's eyes bulged as he read of Gregor's crimes. Crimes Tywin had quietly rewarded with land. Robert confronted the hand in the throne room, wine heavy on his breath. "You unleashed a monster," he snarled. Tywin's bland gaze did not waver. "War breeds monsters, your grace. You wished for swift victory." "And for decency," Robert roared, though behind him Ned Stark knew his friend's decency wavered under ale and grief. Ned's plea for mercy, "Send the mountain to Dorne, show justice," fell on deaf ears. Tywin refused. Robert hesitated, and the Seven Kingdoms felt the hinge of fate creak. As autumn deepened, the Dornish entrenched behind earthen ramparts along the Blackwater. Supply lines ran thin. The Tyrells closed in from the west, Lannister's battered roads to the north. Yet within the Dornish camp, a hush of purpose settled. Every soldier had glimpsed the silver-haired babe, held aloft by Ser Willem, her violet eyes bright as dawn. Dragon's Dawn, they called her. Hope's light flickered where despair might have reigned. Oberyn's spies brought word. Lord Renly camped west of Bitterbridge, lending token forces but spending more hours in feasts than councils. The Reach's discipline frayed. Some knights had begun wearing white roses in sympathy for Elia. A single match could spark rebellion within Robert's allies, if placed wisely. So Oberyn penned a letter to Lady Olenna Tyrell. He spoke of honor, of vengeance, of futures where Highgarden need not bend knee to Storm's End. He closed with talk of marriage, a dragon princess for the scion of Tyrell blood, sealing peace and placing a crown upon the Reach. The parchment sailed by swift courier. Whether the old Queen of Thorns would be moved, only time might reveal. Winter whispered at the north, though snow yet lay months distant. Ned Stark lingered in King's Landing, sick of politics yet trapped. He paced the godswood, words heavy on his tongue. Robert's temper worsened, dreams haunted by Lannister knives and Dornish snakes. Ned saw in his friend a man fighting wars long finished. One night he knelt beside a heart tree and prayed for guidance. If peace could be forged, Daenerys bride to Renly, Dornish blood appeased, perhaps realms might heal. He resolved to speak with Robert once more, to call a parley beneath banners of truce. Yet even as Ned found hope in prayer, Oberyn Martell found deliverance in venom. An assassin crept through the Dornish camp. A gaunt man cloaked in brown, his hair crusted with filth, daggers poisoned. He aimed for Daenerys' tent, but Oberyn's sand snakes patrolled, keen eyes catching the glint of steel. An arrow hissed through shadows, pinning the would-be killer's calf. Interrogation under torchlight revealed the coin, stamped with a lion. Oberyn sent the man's severed hands in a wooden box to King's Landing, a silent message carved deeper than words. Doran, upon hearing, closed his eyes. Retaliation risked spiking the war beyond negotiation. Yet Lannister cruelty left little room for calm. Wolves circled. Tywin's army crashed against the Dornish ramparts, iron upon packed earth. Tyrell skirmishers rode from the south. Supplies waned. On a frigid morning, Oberyn summoned his captains. "We retreat tonight," he said, voice hoarse yet resolute. "Burn what we leave. We fall back to the Kingswood, draw them in, then slip through Rainwood to Last River, where Dornish ships will meet us. Our objective is not to hold ground. It is to keep the princess alive." "And if they press?" asked Ser Demon Sand. "Then they will follow ghosts through forest while we vanish like snakes in scrub." The withdrawal worked under moonless cover, torches doused, hooves muffled. When dawn's gray breath revealed empty ramparts, Robert cursed the coward snakes. Yet he could not match their speed through the tangled Kingswood. His heavy horse wallowed in briar and stream. Tywin urged caution. Supply lines stretched, autumn storms near. Robert insisted on pursuit. Tywin rode beside him, though stony-eyed, perhaps wondering whether the stag's fury would lead the lion into a trap. South of Rainwood, Dornish outriders met 3 sleek Dromons flying the Sunspear. Oberyn oversaw the embarkation. Daenerys carried aboard first. As the child sailed east with a small honor guard, Oberyn lingered ashore with half the army, a lure for Robert's pursuit. They would hold at the ruin of Bronzegate, an old castle unused since Maegor's reign, its mossy walls offering grim sanctuary. Robert's host thundered into view 5 days later, standards flapping ragged. Rain slashed sideways, cloaking visions. At Bronzegate's crumbling arch, Oberyn awaited, spear but planted in mud. Lightning cracked, revealing fury in both men's eyes. Robert advanced, his great warhammer dripping. "Where is the last dragon?" he roared. "East," Oberyn lied, though in truth Daenerys lay safely at sea, far from your butcher hands. The battle that followed was nightmare. Thunder overhead, mud below, men drowning in earth before blades found them. Oberyn sparred Robert thrice in the chaos, each time evading the mighty hammer by heartbeats, each time leaving the king with another cut to remember. But Robert's strength seemed endless, his grief and anger fueling swings that collapsed stone. At last Oberyn, bruised and weary, ordered horns blown. The Dornish would melt into forest again, another withdrawal. Their aim, survival, not conquest. Yet in that moment a horn sounded not Dornish, but Tyrell. Through the sheets of rain charged riders in green cloaks embroidered with golden roses. But their lances lowered, not at Dornish backs, rather at Robert's exposed flank. The world spun. Robert staggered, astonished. Lord Garland Tyrell, younger brother to Mace, led the unexpected charge. Letters between Lady Olenna and Oberyn had found fertile soil after all. The Reach smelled opportunity. A war-tired king, a lion overextended. Yet the Tyrells were late, their numbers modest, and Robert rallied. The clash became 3-sided. Baratheon versus Dornish versus Tyrells. Mud churned into fetid stew of horses and men. Confusion reigned until night granted mercy. When dawn rose, Oberyn's host was gone, ghosted off into Rainwood. Robert's army, bloodied, limped back towards the Blackwater to regroup. The Tyrells vanished west. War, once clear, became riddles and mirage. On the narrow sea, Doran's flagship Seabreeze cut waves towards Sunspear. Below decks, Daenerys cooed, fingers reaching for flecks of light. Ser Willem, gaunt with exhaustion, closed his eyes in relief. They had slipped from claws of kings to the embrace of the desert. Back in Sunspear, Doran prepared a welcome unseen in a century. Banners upon every tower, fountains scented with rosewater, balconies draped in silk. Dorne had its queen now, if only a babe, and Doran intended the realm should know she was no exile but cherished guest. He summoned scribes to draft treaties of alliance. Dorne and Dragonstone merged beneath the Sundragon sigil. He commissioned shipbuilders to craft swift vessels for secret missions to Pentos and Bravos, seeking Sellsword contracts and loans. Let the banks bet on dragons. He also penned personal letters to Eddard Stark. He spoke of honor, of children stolen, of justice yet undone. He offered Ned a vision. Bring the king to parley, surrender Gregor Clegane, and discuss a marriage between Daenerys and a Baratheon scion, uniting houses and healing wounds. If Robert refused, then Eddard must choose between oath and conscience. He sealed the letter with black wax and a tear for his sister. The war slowed to a crawl. Armies circled like wary boars in leaf-bare woods. Food dwindled, storms battered camps, and ravens carried news of uprisings in the Westerlands where small folk protested levies. Lannister gold still gleamed, but its luster could not fill bellies. At court, Robert grew sullen. Wine bled from his beard each night. Cersei seethed at Tyrell treachery and Dornish insolence alike.
Ned Stark walket Hals in gardet Melancholie.
When Ned received Doran's letter, he paced the godswood till moonrise, reading lines again and again. He imagined Sansa's laughter, Arya's fierce grin, Little Bran's wonder. A war lasting years would steal those joys from whole kingdoms. He resolved to counsel Robert once more. Seek peace, offer justice, protect the realm. He entered the king's solar at dawn. Robert lay slumped in chair, eyes bloodshot. Ned's words poured forth, of Elaya's murder, of the mountain's crimes, of Daenerys' innocence and chance for alliance. He urged a parley under holy truce. Let Robert prove the just king he wished to be. Robert listened, silent, save for breath that rasped like a forge bellows. At last he spoke. I will think on't, old friend. It was not yes but not no. By winter's eve hostilities lulled. Robert agreed to dispatch a delegation, Eddard Stark, Jon Arryn, and Lord Renly, south to Sunspear under banners of peace. Tywin protested but acquiesced, seeing value in negotiation while gathering strength. Oberyn returned to Sunspear, greeted by crowds and by Doran's embrace. Though bruised, he wore the battle's grime like laurels. Daenerys, now 6 moons old, thrived in Dornish sun. Golden skin soft as peach down, hair fine silver. She gurgled at Oberyn, tugging his finger with surprising strength. Doran watched, heart swelling with hope he scarcely dared claim. He moved carved dragon figurines upon the war table and whispered, "Soon, little queen, the realm will know your name." In the vaulted hall of Sunspear, banners of red dragon and golden sun entwined, and beneath them, men prepared to negotiate a future none could yet fathom. Princes might bend, kings might break, but the song of dragons and deserts had begun anew, and its first verse gleamed bright upon the horizon. The war was not won, peace not forged, but the wheel of fate had shifted. 5 hours, 5 years, it mattered little. Dorne had declared for Daenerys, and the 7 kingdoms would never be the same. Heat clung to King's Landing like damp wool when Eddard Stark, Jon Arryn, and Lord Renly Baratheon rode from the Red Keep beneath banners of truce. The gold cloaks lining the mud gates stared as if witnessing sorcery. Stark direwolf beside Baratheon stag beside Arryn falcon, each trimmed with strips of white to signify holy peace. Ned felt every eye upon him. Somewhere behind those eyes Tywin Lannister watched through spies, counting the minutes until something, anything, broke the fragile accord. They left at dawn to outrun the day's worst scald, crossing the Blackwater by ferry and striking south along the coast road. Sea winds tasted of brine and rotting weed, but they cooled the sweat beneath plate. Renly, cheeks red from late feasting, complained cheerily of saddle sores. Ned rode silent, brooding on how far the realm had drifted from the quiet snows of Winterfell. Jon Arryn alone seemed content, blue eyes sharp beneath silver brows, as though the Vale's austere mountains had taught him to treasure every crease of new terrain. Past Rooks Rest the road bent inland, threading oak groves where cicadas shrieked. After 4 days they passed Duskendale's shattered walls, still scarred by the Mad King's fury, and the garrison bowed them through without tribute. Small folk whispered of Dornish armies in the Kingswood, of Tyrell roses blooming blood-red, of lions marching with iron tread. Yet the delegation rode unmolested, protected by oaths sworn before Septon and God. 3 weeks later, with horses lean and tempers leaner, they saw the sea of Dorne shimmer like hammered pewter beyond stunted olive trees. Sunspear's towers rose from the horizon, bolts of gold cloth flung into cloudless sky. Heat pressed heavier here. Every breath tasted of pepper and sun. Renly joked that even the air sweat. Ned lifted his eyes to the road's end and wondered whether the sands held salvation or ruin. A procession awaited at the shadow of the Tower of the Sun. Prince Doran in cadmium robes, Oberyn beside him in crimson leather darkened by old rain, and around them a dazzling array of courtiers, olive-skinned ladies with veils of beaten silver, spear-bearing guards in copper scale, barefoot children scattering orange petals. Doran's litter curtains parted, revealing the prince upright despite aching joints. He extended both hands. "Be welcome in Dorne, Lord Stark, Lord Arryn, Lord Renly. You come as friends, so shall you be treated." Ned slid from his destrier, sinking knee to dusty marble. "We thank you, Prince Doran, and pray the peace we seek may find root in these gardens." Oberyn's smile revealed bright teeth. "Water first, words second." He signaled servants bearing flasks of cool mint water. The delegation drank deep, salt crust flaking from beards. When thirst ceased to rasp, they followed the princes through arched corridors perfumed by myrrh. Soft fountains burbled, masked by the high whisper of palms. Even Renly fell silent, struck by the water garden's serene geometry. White stone carved to shape breezes, green pools reflecting twin suns. They gathered in a vaulted hall open to the sea. Sun-cut patterns crawled across mosaic floors. Rhoynar ships, coiled sand serpents, Valyrian dragons shattered by waves. Cushioned seats ringed a low table of white marble veined red like dragonglass. At its center stood a tiny cradle wrought of dark teak, lined with silk the color of a first dawn. Within lay Daenerys Targaryen. She was small as a rolled scroll, silver blonde fuzz haloing her skull, violet eyes blinking at impossible brightness. She clutched a polished orange pit, Aerian's gift, and gurgled when Jon Arryn leaned closer. Ned had seen his bastards as babes, seen even newborn whelps in the kennels, yet something about this child hollowed his chest. A thunderclap far off, heralding storms not yet born. Prince Doran lowered himself beside the cradle. "Behold Daenerys Stormborn, blood of the dragon and of Dorne through Princess Elia." He smoothed linen over the babe's chest. Her life was almost ended before it began. Now she stands at the heart of all our fears and hopes. Oberyn rested a hand on spear pommel. "Let there be no doubt. Whoever threatens this child invites the vengeance of every sun-kissed spear under Nymeria's banner." Renly cleared his throat, gazed twin sparks of curiosity and caution. "No one here threatens her, Prince. We come to discuss how her presence may ease the realm, not inflame it." "Then we shall speak," Doran answered. He gestured. Servants withdrew, leaving 8 souls. Doran, Oberyn, Ned, Jon, Renly, Maester Caliot, Ser Ario Hoda towering mute behind his long axe, and Elia Sand, Oberyn's eldest, standing sentinel by a lattice window. The child's faint breaths filled silences. Jon Arryn began. We deliver word from King Robert. He grieves Princess Elia's death. The maester's quill scratched as he recorded, and acknowledges that justice was not served in the war's haste. His Grace is prepared to cede Ser Gregor Clegane to Dornish judgment, provided Ser Amory Lorch receive identical treatment. Oberyn's eyes narrowed to knife slits. Lorch dies for strangling infant Aegon with his twisted cloak. The mountain crushed baby Rhaenys and Elia herself. We accept. He tapped the table. When? Within a fortnight of our safe return, Jon replied. The king wishes written assurance that no harm will befall crown servants unaffiliated with those crimes, provided those servants bear no lion or mountain on their shields, Oberyn said. Yes. Doran steepled fingers. Justice alone will not calm the kingdoms. Blood feuds echo for generations unless bridged by new bonds. His gaze fell on Renly. Our proposal, betrothal of Princess Daenerys to Lord Renly Baratheon. Renly's brows climbed. She is scarcely 6 moons old. She will grow. Doran's smile held both warmth and iron. You, Lord Renly, are 4th in line to the throne. Should the 7 bless you with sons, their veins will mingle dragon, stag, and sun, binding houses sundered by war. Ned studied Renly's face. Young yet shrewd. Robert's least political brother, yes, but not blind. This match would catapult him near heirs apparent. Still, Renly hesitated. I must have my brother's consent. You shall, Doran said. If I must kneel before King Robert himself and place Daenerys in his arms, I will. But know this. If he refuses the peace she represents, the realm will drown in flame. Not dragonfire, no, but the slow burning of endless war. He lifted a parchment. Dorne will not bend knee to a crown that denies Elia's daughter her life or her right to exist. Jon Arryn read the room. We shall convey your offer with utmost urgency. Conversation turned to logistics. Hostages exchanged, Ser Balon Swan and Edric Dane chosen. Safe routes for Clegane's escort. Compensation for small folk ravaged by war. Maester Caliot drafted protocols. Jon Arryn suggested revisions. Ned watched the babe's eyelids flutter. A servant brought figs and spiced wine. The sun slid west, gilding pillars. At last Doran dismissed council for the day. Rest. Talk with our people. Understand Dorne not as rumor, but as blood beating in your own hearts. He nodded to Ned. Tomorrow we return to table. Renly brightened, already picturing Dornish feasts. Ned guessed. Jon Arryn clutched papers, mind spinning with signatures. Ned bowed and excused himself to wander the gardens. He found a bench beside a lapis lazuli pool, dragonflies whirring over lilies. Gardens at Winterfell were mossy clutches huddled against cold stone. Here green exploded like fireworks. He closed his eyes. Footsteps approached, light, deliberate. Lady Elia Sand stood, dusk shadows dappling her copper cheeks. My father asks that I watch our northern guest. I need no guard, not guard guidance. She sat, tucking legs beneath saffron skirts. Many think Dorne sun-baked and simple, yet we have long memories. Some days our vengeance is the only thing that grows. Ned considered. Vengeance feeds nothing but more graves. Tell that to the mothers whose babes were dashed against walls. Her voice quavered. She mastered it. Do you understand why my uncle risks our people on this dragon girl's behalf? Ido. Elia deserved justice, and her daughter's daughter deserves life. War or peace might spring from this child. I would choose peace. As would I, Elia whispered. But peace demands greater courage than war. Remember that when you face your king. Moonlight softened her features.
Ned bowed.
I will. High above, in a balcony curtained with indigo silk, Oberyn watched them, candle guttering at his elbow. Doran rolled a stone cylinder across the map, signifying Clegane. A fortnight, the prince said. Tywin will not give his pet monster easily. He cannot keep him if Robert orders surrender. Can he not? Oberyn murmured. My spies tell me gold cloaks loyal to Littlefinger now command 3 new barracks. Lannister coin built them. Suppose Grego.
Elle rescape en route.
Doran's sigh held ages. We must prepare contingencies. Oberyn drank from a flagon, wiped mouth with back of hand. If the mountain slips our net, I will flay Tywin's pride strip by strip. You will do as I command, Doran said, voice suddenly steel. If we fail to deliver justice lawfully, we strengthen our foe's tale that Dorne is savage. Our path is narrow. One misstep plunges us into a pit of swords. Oberyn touched the map. Duskendale, Rook's Rest, Trident. I walk where Elia guides. Doran placed hand atop Oberyn's. Walk where Daenerys guides. The future, not the grave. 2 nights later, a sandstorm boiled over the deep desert, hurling grit against Sunspear's western walls. In its shriek, a different wind moved. Whispers, footpads. For shadows surfaced in the royal nursery, blades black with manticore venom. They found the cradle empty. From dark rafters descended Obara sand, leather cords whistling. Her lash snapped one assassin's throat. A second toppled beneath Nymeria Sand's thrown dirk. The third lunged at Sarella Sand, slicing air where her curls had been. Ario Hodoa's long axe ended further struggle. Bones splintered like dry driftwood. The final intruder fled, hurling a smoke canister. Obara pursued through corridors, but he vanished among servants. Only at dawn did they discover a tunnel mouth behind a discarded spice rack leading to sea caves. Tracks washed clean by tide. In the throne room, Doran inspected the bodies. No sigils, only Lannisport coins sewn beneath belts. Rage trembled through Oberyn like a plucked harpstring. Enough patience. Give me leave, brother. Doran shook his head. They wish us to rage. We answer with proof. He ordered maester and apothecary to preserve one corpse under Merge salts. Another would sail to King's Landing sealed in crystal ice, to be opened before the court. Let kingdom eyes see Tywin's handiwork. Ned and Jon, awoken by alarms, learned of the attack at breakfast. Jon's face blanched. We must depart at once. My letters can carry ahead. The longer we stay, the greater peril. Renly, still groggy, agreed. Your prince's hospitality is boundless, but brother Robert may wreck half the realm if we tarry. Doran accepted. Your safe passage is sworn. I ask only that you bear my case for Daenerys with full weight. He laid a parchment bearing dragon and sun. Our formal treaty, the child's betrothal, the surrender of Gregor, indemnities. Have Robert affix royal seal. Then we shall host him here amid water and shade, and toast to decades of peace. Ned clasped his forearm. We will do our duty. Before noon, the delegation departed under triple escort. 40 Sunspear spears before, 20 sand steeds behind, 20 golden cloaks of the Peace Guard. The road north shimmered. The same day, in King's Landing, Cersei Lannister paced the Tower of the Hand like a lioness in too small a cage. Tywin sat at carved weirwood desk, rereading dispatches. Cersei's green eyes blazed. If Robert cedes Gregor, he consigns our house to humiliation. Tywin lifted brow. Humiliation is bearable. Extinction is not. Dorne, allied with Tyrell and friends in the Stormlands, threatens extinction. He folded the parchment. I have instructed Varys to delay Ned Stark's return. Cersei folded arms. Robert will suspect. He will drown suspicion at the bottom of his cups. Meanwhile, messengers already ride to the mountain's keep. He withdraws west tonight, beyond royal reach. When Stark arrives, Gregor cannot be found. Robert's choice. Lose his most fearsome sword or lose face. He will choose sword. He always chooses strength. And the babe. If assassins fail, there is rumor. Let them claim Dorne intends dragon worship. Fire magic, cell cells washed ashore. The faith may yet fear old Valyria. Seeds, my daughter. Scatter enough, some grow. On the Windwater coast, Ned Stark's column made camp beside leaning pines. The sea crashed below chalk cliffs. Ned scanned jagged horizon. Memories of Greyjoy war boats whispered. He froze as 8 riders approached, capes snapping. At their head rode Brienne of Tarth, blue armor gleaming. Lord Stark, she called, helm tucked beneath arm. Lady Catelyn bids you hurry. Trouble in Riverlands. Bands of broken men raid Tully villages. Ser Edmure requests aid. Ned's breath iced. My family. Safe, my lord, for now. Jon Arryn Wade news. Delay weakens our leverage. Yet family must come first. He exhaled. Very well. Lord Renly and I will press to the capital. Take half the escort and ride to Riverrun, Lord Stark. Rejoin us as soon as you may. Ned clasped his hand. I will bring order to my wife's people, then to the throne. He eyed the Dornish guard captain. Prince Doran trusts us. Guard Lord Renly as you would the princess. The column divided at dawn. Ned's path inland followed the tumblestone. Jon and Renly kept the coast. Clouds thickened, gulls vanished, storm building. 3 nights onward, the royal contingent neared Blackwater Rush when shapes emerged from fog. Galleys lashed together mid-river. Torches lined their rails. A bluff voice rang. Surrender your papers and your purse, and you may keep your throats. Renly laughed. Do you know whom you rob? I am Renly Baratheon, Lord of Storm's End. Polearms bristled. Gold spends the same, lordling. Jon Arryn's eyes narrowed. These are not mere pirates. Their knots are Myrish. The Dornish spears unslung shields. Battle erupted. Knives of flame dancing across water as pitch-soaked arrows struck decks. Renly unhorsed one attacker with a swing of staghorn pommel sword. Jon Arryn, old yet keen, directed archers to fell helms at or benches. Amid din, a corsair leapt for the satchel of treaties. A sunspear guard speared him through. Parchment burned in his dying grip, but fried edges spared signatures. They fought an hour before enemy craft broke away. Listing. Renly panted, sword arm cut. Someone paid dear for this ambush. Jon wiped spattered blood. And cared little for captain lives. They bound wounds and pushed onward, wary now of every reed shadow. In the Riverlands, Ned found misery. Crofts burned, fields stripped, small folk hiding in cellars. Survivors spoke of men in ill-matched armor flying a ragged lion banner. Bandits claiming Lannister coin in punishment for Tully taxes. Ned dispatched his guard to hunt marauders, captured 13 within a fortnight. Under questioning, they confessed. Sergeants discharged from Clegane's host, told to sow terror. Ned felt fury gnaw bone. Tywin playing war on 2 boards. He wrote to Robert. Proof of lion treachery, plea for decisive justice, warning of realm breaking. Ravens flew into summer lightning. Waiting for answer, Ned received darker news. Catelyn's father bedridden, fevered. Maester Vyman feared infection of blood. Ned knelt by Lord Hoster, clasped the old man's frail hand. Hoster murmured of Tansy and of brothers long gone, each breath a rattle. Within 3 days he died. Riverrun's halls filled with ashes of grief. Funeral rites lasted a week. Ned longed to ride south, but Edmure begged for help fortifying villages. When word came that Gregor Clegane had vanished and royal decree stalled, Ned's grief hardened into purpose. He left a small garrison and galloped for Harrenhal, determined to flush the mountain from any hole he found. Meanwhile, Renly and Jon reached King's Landing. Thunder shook high towers. They presented Dornish treaty in council chamber lit by flickering braziers. Robert, bleary-eyed, blinked at charred pages. Betrothal? Justice? They ask much. Jon Arryn knelt. They offer much, your grace. Peace, loyalty, marriage binding your house to dragon legacy. All they require is surrender of 2 criminals. Cersei's voice slid from shadows. Criminals who fought for your crown. Swords do not pardon slaughtered babes, Jon countered. Robert rubbed temples. Where's Ned? He'd speak plain. North quelling lion brigands, Renly said. A letter on your desk damns Ser Gregor's riders in Riverlands. Tywin Lannister folded hands. Is hearsay enough to hand knights to foreign vengeance? Our laws. Your laws, Robert growled. Did your laws protect those children? Silence. Rain hammered crystal panes. At length Robert signed the parchment, save the seal impression. Bring me the mountain, and I shall press my seal. Fail, and Dorne may keep its son. Jon exhaled. A step, at least. As the council scattered, Littlefinger sidled up. Ser Gregor will prove elusive. My agents say he marches west of Golden Tooth with 200 men. Creeping into Westerlands is dicey, but coin can open passes. Renly's green gaze narrowed. Why so helpful? Littlefinger smiled. Chaos is a ladder, Lord Renly. Some climb when others fall. Daenerys learned to sit unassisted in Sunspear's nursery. Arian Martell, barely 4, brought her seashells dyed pink, giggling when the dragon princess tried to swallow them. Ser Willem Darry watched, haunted by the memory of Dragonstone's windy halls. To him, Dorne felt like a dream half-remembered. Warmth, laughter, impossible safety. He penned new letters urging exiled Targaryen loyalists to journey south under false sails. Many were dead, but a few might answer. Doran studied accounts, shipwright loans, Sellsword treaties, trade concessions to Myr. Every quill stroke a bulwark against storms hissed by western winds. In secret, he met with Lady Olenna, arrived by disguised cog, to finalize Tyrell defection should Robert spurn peace. They dined on honeyed quail while maps unfurled. Olenna pricked territories like sewing pins. King's Landing starves within a moon if red wine galleons sit idle, she said. And if Lannister gold dries, Sellswords switch coats faster than whores. Doran agreed, but privately feared blood price. How many small folk must die so lords could barter vengeance? Outside Harrenhal, Ned found walls melted by dragonfire centuries ago, now patrolled by mercenaries in lion-red cloaks. He approached under white banner, demanded audience with Castellan. Ser Guinness Yarwick received him in burnt great hall stinking of spoilt meat. Ser Gregor hunts poachers in Westwood, Yarwick claimed. He rode west's a night past. Ned inspected tracks, saw heavy destrier prints leading northeast instead. At dawn, he traced them into boglands, to a village razed days before. Charred posts still smoldered, corpses of women pinned to doors, lids cut away. Rage tightened Ned's throat. He buried the dead with his own hands, recited the Father's prayer, then summoned his men. We ride now. Thus began the hound hunt. 26 riders shadowing vultures, soot, rumor. Every dawn Ned expected Raven recall from the king. None came. Instead he received Catelyn's raven. Sansa and Arya safe, but bold knights harried Tully barges. Catelyn urged caution. Ned burned the letter after reading, fire-licking dusk. 3 days later they caught Gregor near Carolyn Springs, where sulfur stung noses. Mountain men caroused round wagons of pillage. Ned's banner of direwolf flew. Gregor snorted, lifting maul as if splitting logs. Outnumbered, Ned challenged single combat before 7 witnesses. Gregor laughed, accepted. The duel was thunder meeting cliff. Gregor swung overhead. Ned parried, ribs jarring. Steel shrieked like winter wind. Around them knights formed a ring. Gregor hammered again. Again, each blow rattling Ned's spine. Yet Ned's long sword, Ice's little sister, for he had not brought the great blade south, was Valyrian steel, swift as snowmelt. He ducked a sideways swing and carved Gregor's gauntlet, slicing 2 fingers. Blood welled black. The mountain roared, bull charging. Ned rolled aside, rose, slashed hamstring. Gregor stumbled, agony contorting his scarred visage. He hurled a dagger. Ned deflected and stepped close, gloved hand closing on gorget strap. For an instant, blue northern eyes locked monstrous brown. Ned whispered, "In the name of Elia of Dorne." Then he rammed steel through Gregor's armpit into heart. Silence swallowed the clearing. Gregor's carcass toppled like felled oak, spraying mud. Ned wrenched free blade, breathing ragged. He bound the corpse to a travois. "We ride for King's Landing," he told stunned knights. "No village shall suffer his rot." Each mile they dragged the mountain south, sour buzzards orbiting. News outraced them. Stark justice, lion slain. By the time Ned camped near Sow's Horn, songs already spread, ice breaks stone. In the Red Keep, Tywin received word before Robert. He closed the scroll, face a mask. Cersei hissed a curse. Tyrion, newly arrived from the west, arched brow. Father, perhaps the lion cannot outmaul the wolf this time. Tywin's voice was cold steel. There are subtler hunts, my son. He summoned ravens to Riverrun. Ser Amory Lorch commanded to seize Edmure Tully on trump charges if opportunity arose. Let the wolf juggle loyalties when riverkin bled. Cersei pressed. And Daenerys? Tywin's look carried centuries of Lannister ruthlessness. No babe lives forever. Robert met Ned at the gate of the gods. Rain matted hair to their brows. Ned threw back oilcloth, revealing Gregor's severed head in tar pit black. Justice, he said. Court gasped. Robert staggered, half at sight, half at memory of Rhaegar's broken breastplate. He closed eyes. I asked surrender, not slaughter. He refused surrender, Ned answered. I chose realm before letter. Robert studied his oldest friend, then the weeping crowds beyond. 7 help me. He turned, stalking to throne room. There, before lords assembled, he affixed royal seal to Dornish treaty. Cheers erupted from Varys, from Jon Arryn, from Renly. Tywin's jaw ticked. Cersei's nails bit palm. Robert declared Daenerys Targaryen under Baratheon protection, betrothed to Renly, to reside in Dorne until her 12th name day when marriage might be solemnized. Ser Amory Lorch was named outlaw, price on his head. The faith's high septon raised hands in blessing. Bells pealed, yet beneath bell song secrets writhed like eels. That night, in a cellar of Flea Bottom, a cloaked man paid the Alchemist's Guild for wildfire jars to scour rat nests beneath Maegor's holdfast. 3 gold lions stamped each coin. News reached Sunspear in a rush of gulls. The plaza erupted in dance, drums thundering like distant cavalry. Aerion bounded through arcades singing, Queen of Dawn. Oberyn lifted Daenerys high. The infant squealed, flapping chubby arms like wings. Doran allowed himself a single breath of smile, eyes wet. He convened council. Prepare an embassy to King's Landing. 30 spears, 1 sand snake, Maester Caliot, a cask of sweet fire as gift. I shall follow next moon. He sent ravens to Tyrell's alliance stands, to Ironbank, loans secured by joint Targaryen-Martell revenues. He wrote to Ser Willem, begin educating princess in tongues and law, every letter a stitch closing wounds. Oberyn saddled his charger. I escort the embassy. Let Lannister eyes watch me stride their streets. Let my spear gleam beneath their towers. Doran clasped his shoulder. Even serpents need armor in lion dens. Then I shall wear steel scales polished with venom. They embraced. Sunset painted them copper and gold. Midsummer heat drowned kings landing in odors of fish and tallow. The Dornish embassy rode through Dragon Gate. Crimson banners, copper shields, singers chanting Elia's lullaby turned victory hymn. Small folk gawked at silver-haired babes swaddled in sundragon sigil. Riot did not erupt. Hunger did. Ragged children trailed the procession begging figs. Oberyn flung silver stags, face unreadable. Inside the Red Keep, Robert received them on Iron Throne. He looked shrunken, cheeks hollow. Days spent wrestling ghosts, not boars. Yet when Daenerys was placed on velvet cushion before him, his gaze softened. By the 7, she's tiny. He touched silken hair. Dany grasped his thumb. The hall held its breath. Renly stepped forward, flamboyant in storm green doublet. Your Grace, my future lady. Robert smiled sadly. Take care she doesn't grow to roast you. Laughter calmed tension. Oberyn bowed. We thank you for welcome. May sun and stag share long peace. That night grand feast sprawled across torchlit hall. Dornish snake scorpion stew, arbor gold, northern honeyed mead. Music soared. Cersei did not attend, citing illness, and Tywin excused himself early. Rumor whispered he convened silent council in Tower of the Hand. Ned joined Oberyn at balcony overlooking Blackwater. Moonlight shimmered. We did what many thought impossible, Ned said. Oberyn sipped wine. Peace is not victory, it is respite. Let us hope respite suffices. Hope, Lord Stark is a blade without hilt. He drained cup, handle with care. In cellars beneath the guild hall of alchemists, pyromancers chanted over wild green flame. Dozens of clay jars lined carts. A gaunt overseer unrolled parchment marked with crimson lion. "Deliver to stable beside dragon pit," he muttered. Payment doubled upon proof of fire in the night. Across town, Varys's little birds carried slips of parchment to the spider's lair. Ink dots, 2 jars missing, unknown buyer. Threads woven. Varys padded to Ned's solar past midnight. Lord Stark, dire designs stir. Wildfire beneath cradle of dragons. I speak plain. Ned felt cold. Daenerys. Aye, and perhaps the city entire, should flames hunger. They rushed to Queen's apartments. Areo Hoda barred door until Ned uttered password taught that afternoon by Dorne. Nymeria's grace. Inside, sleeping princess, Ser Willem dozing. Ned searched floor, no green seep, no jar, but windows open to warm breeze. At dawn they found the stable charred. 2 grooms dead, hair melted, tongues black. A single jar lay cracked, drained, sigil lion burned onto clay. Message clear. Fire could strike anywhere. Robert ordered investigation. Cersei lamented reckless alchemists. Tywin promised personal inquiry. But Oberyn's eyes burned across table. Your promises ring hollow while your coin rings true. Tyrion watched, drinking Hippocras, mind whirring. He cornered Varys later. My father is proud, not stupid. Where does this path lead? Perhaps to a future where lions lie with lambs, Varys purred. Or swallow them. North of the Trident, Edmure Tully's patrol captured Ser Amory Lorch attempting to take a river village host. Letters on his person bore Lannister seal, instructing seizure of Edmure for insurrection. Edmure delivered both prisoner and proofed. Humid night bells clanged, the royal armory ablaze. Flames leapt orange-green. Wildfire hidden in grain barrels. 60 perished. Storerooms of spears melted. Lannister guards on duty escaped moments earlier. Rumor pinned crime on Dornish spies. Riots sparked, flea-bottom mobs clashing with city watch. In chaos, an attempt to kidnap Daenerys failed. Areo Hoda cleaving 3 cloaked men, but suspicion poisoned trust. Dorne wrote, "Remove princess to Sunspear until order restored, or I withdraw from treaty." Robert balked. Cersei cried triumph. "Let them scuttle home." Renly argued to accompany Daenerys south. Jon Arryn mediated. Ned proposed compromise. Daenerys lodged on Driftmark under Lord Valerion's neutral protection until her 12th name day. Island strong, fleet loyal, distant from Lannister reach yet near crown. Doran accepted. Robert grudgingly assented. Escort arranged. Renly, Obara Sand, Brienne of Tarth, 50 gold cloaks vetted by Ned. At dawn they sailed aboard Seasong, banners furled. Oberyn watched from quay, promise of vengeance coiled within. Yet he did not board. Dorne needed him in council. Weeks turned to months. Driftmark's sea air tempered city smoke. Daenerys learned first words, Nyra, for Nymeria Sand, who visited, Lee, for Renly. She toddled along coral sand, chasing gulls. Ser Willem taught her sigils drawn with driftwood. Sun, dragon, stag entwined. Each day peace held, each night ravens argued. In King's Landing, Robert forbade further wildfire production, jailing pyromancers. Lannister coffers secretly funded black market stills. Tywin repositioned gold to Iron Bank, hedging against crown default. Littlefinger exploited volatility, enriching himself by selling dole grain then buying after panic crashed price. Varys whispered to Dornish and Tyrell emissaries, weaving fragile silk. One crisp dawn, Jon Arryn collapsed in small council chamber, fingers black at lips. Maester Pycelle claimed heart failure. Varys hinted poison blossoms even in gardens of peace. Court rumor blamed Lannisters. Robert howled grief. Ned felt cold acts of dread. Who next? Renly wrote urgent letter from Driftmark. Princess strong. Yet gulls whisper Tyrell ships mass near Spear Isle. Grandmother prepares contingencies.
Ned sighed. Webs tightened.
At Sunspear, Doran limped through lemon-scented paths. Gout worse. He studied letters. If Jon Arryn is felled, hand falls vacant. Robert trusts none but Ned. Arianne, now 5, perched beside map, eyes wide. Will peace end? Father? Peace is a castle of cards, Doran murmured. A single breath topples. Oberyn strode in. Ser Willis Tyrell invites me to Highgarden tourney in Moon's Turn. A chance to temper their hot blood or stoke. Go, Doran said. But step lightly. Oberyn kissed Arianne's brow. The Viper strikes only when certain. Ned accepted Robert's request, becoming hand. He moved into Tower of the Hand beneath Tywin's vacated chambers. On his first day, ravens screamed. Viserys Targaryen sighted in Pentos, claiming brother's crown, petitioning Volantene fleet. Magister Illyrio rumored behind him.
Ned rubbed temples.
1 dragon babe already shakes 7 kingdoms. 2 will crack them open. He dispatched agents to Essos to confirm. He urged Robert against rash murder commands, history repeating. Robert's patience strained. Renly returned to Red Keep for Hand's tourney, ostensibly to celebrate Ned's appointment, truly to build alliances. He met with Loras, with Varys, with Oberyn. Plans blossomed. A new council balancing powers, coin for grain, joint road building to unite Dornish passes with Reach granaries. Ned saw hope flicker. Then a rider from Riverlands arrived bloody. Ser Amory Lorch escaped dungeon, raided Tansy Mill, slaughtered dozens including septa and babes. A scrap of parchment pinned to door read, "Dead babes pay dead babes." Lannister sigil stamped. Oberyn's reply? He strode to Hand's Solar that night, placed lion-etched helm on desk. "I will hunt Lorch." Ned foresaw further blood. "Bring him alive." Oberyn's eyes said perhaps. 5 hours. The city slept. Night air carried whispers of change. Some sweet like jasmine, some acrid as wildfire smoke. In far Driftmark, a silver-haired child dreamed of suns over sea. In the west, a dwarf wondered which side of coin might spare his house. At Storm's End, a brooding lord studied letters that hinted he could yet be king. Above them all, constellations shifted, as if ancient gods repositioned pieces on cosmic board. And in Sunspear, Prince Doran, who moved pieces most carefully, dipped quill and wrote at last to Viserys Targaryen, an invitation cloaked in riddles, offering refuge under Sunspear and a single warning: come for peace or not at all. His wax stamped black. Across deserts, across seas, destiny churned, quiet as sand sliding through an hourglass. The war they had paused still lingered, coiled like a dragon beneath dunes, patient for sun to rise again. Peace held, for now, but every heartbeat of every player beat against its fragile glass walls. And somewhere, in a cradle of driftmark surf, Daenerys Stormborn laughed at gulls, unaware that her laughter alone kept kingdoms from burning. Moonlight pooled across Driftmark's ragged coast, glazing rock and foam as though the gods had spilled quicksilver over the sea. 3 gulls wheeled above the broken ribs of an old Valerian galley, their cries the only sound beyond the hush-rush whisper of waves. In a window high upon high tide's seaward tower, a candle still burned despite the late hour. Lord Corlys the sea snake was long dead, but his heirs kept the lantern lit by old habit. Guidance for ships in darkness, reminder that Driftmark guarded the gullet as steadfastly as any fortress of stone and iron. Inside the chamber, Renly Baratheon lay sprawled on a velvet chaise, boots discarded, doublet half unlaced. Even in exhaustion, his smile lingered easy, charming, the sort of grin that could still a quarrel or ignite a feast. Across a small cedar desk, Ser Willem Darry penned letters by the candle's sputtering flame. Each parchment bore a different hand. One to Sunspear reporting the princess's health, one to Storm's End detailing supply needs, one to King's Landing with a careful account of troop dispositions on nearby islands, written in a cipher Ned Stark himself had devised. Nearby, Daenerys Stormborn slept curled above a quilt of sea-green silk, silver hair fanned like spiderweb filaments against the pillow. Renly watched her breathe. "Do you think she dreams of dragons, Ser Willem?" he asked. voice hushed so as not to wake the babe. Sir Willem dabbed his quill. She dreams of milk, my lord, and of the day's warmth upon her face. Dragons belong to stories until they do not. He sanded the parchment, folded, pressed a wax seal. One must pray that by the time she knows their truth, this realm will welcome it rather than burn for it. Renly's smile faltered. He rose, pacing the room's narrow length, cloak trailing green shadow across pale flagstones. The realm is tinder, my brother's anger, Lord Tywin's pride, the faith's fear, all sparks, and driftwood catches easily, Sir Willem. I wonder whether we have only delayed the fire rather than doused it. The old knight straightened, joints cracking. Delay is not defeat. Every day she lives buys hope. With time, wounds scar, tempers cool, children forget their father's feuds. His eyes softened. Or so I wish to believe. A rap at the door interrupted. Brienne of Tarth entered, helm tucked beneath one great arm, rain glistening on her gorget. A ship from King's Landing, my lord, arrived under dusk. They bear a sealed letter urgent. Renly frowned, accepted the scroll. Who delivered it? A maester in gray and green, but the deck wore Lannister crimson. Renly broke the seal. As he read, candlelight danced across his features. Surprise, concern, then grim decision. He folded the parchment, gaze flicking to the child. Storms on the horizon. Brienne waited. Renly motioned her nearer and handed the letter to Sir Willem. The old knight adjusted spectacles, reading silently. At last he exhaled. So Lord Tywin petitions Driftmark for negotiations of marriage between Princess Myrcella and Prince Trystane, bypassing Sunspear's counsel. He promises chests of gold, mutual defense, easier trade tariffs, and his personal guarantee of Daenerys' safety should she be fostered at Casterly Rock until of age. Renly snorted. A lion's guarantee, like a wolf's promise to watch the sheep. He glanced at Brienne. We say no, but we must send answer that neither insults nor encourages further schemes. A blade sheathed in courtesy.
Sir Willem nodded.
I shall draft a reply. He bent to his parchments once more. Renly turned back to the window. Beyond black waves glimmered the red pinpricks of braziers strung along anchored galleys. Driftmark's modest fleet could hold the gullet against pirates, but not against the might of the Redwine Armada should the Reach turn coat again, or against the Lannister warships rumored to prowl from Lannisport. Peace was less an alliance than a pause before storms collided. He rubbed weary eyes. He would write to Ned, Hand of the King now, gods help them all, and warn him of Tywin's gambit. Yet letters traveled slow, and faster foes prowled in shadow. In King's Landing, dawn cracked palely beneath low clouds heavy with heat. The Red Keep's upper courtyard bustled as household guards drilled. Pikes snapping upward, shields clapping in rhythm. Steel rang against steel in echoing cadence. Always music to Jaime Lannister's ears, though today his heart pounded a discordant beat. He stood alone beside the White Book, the Kingsguard's record, pages ruffling in warm wind. 7 new lines awaited inscription for deeds done these past months. Jaime's defense of the king in the riot when wildfire burst, Ser Barristan's rescue of wounded smallfolk, Ser Balon Swan's escort of Lord Renly to Driftmark. Yet Jaime found his quill paused above his own name. The ink blot grew, a black star blossoming across pristine parchment. Another piece of poetry, Kingslayer? Drawled a voice behind him. Jaime did not flinch. He recognized the lilt. Tyrion, cloaked in soft gray, perched upon the edge of a carved bench like an owl ready to swoop. I was thinking how heavy a quill can feel, Jaime said without turning. Tyrion sniffed. Try lifting a flagon after father's lectures. Heavier still. He hopped down, pacing a lazy circle. I bring news. Father wants you north with 1,000 men, escorting a new envoy to Winterfell. Mend fences with the Starks, he says. Show goodwill. Meaning, of course, show strength. Jaime's shoulders tensed. And bend knee for murdering their friend's father?
Ned Stark slay Gregor in single combat an honorable duel.
To call it murder invites more blood. Father seldom passes invitations. He sends demands. Tyrion leaned against a pillar, studying brother's profile. He is unsettled. Jon Arryn's death has shaken his plans. The hand seat holds new occupant with the spine of an ice wall, and father's usual levers freeze in the cold. So he means to thaw them by sending me? He means to wave a golden banner topped with promises of peace, while whispering offers Ned Stark cannot accept. You will dine, you will joust, you will speak of alliances. And if they refuse, well, Lannister swords will already be near Moat Cailin. Jaime closed the white book. I would rather spar with a Dothraki than navigate father's plots. Tyrion grinned. One requires skill, the other endurance. Which do you lack? Before Jaime could retort, a shadow fell. A tall, hooded figure approaching in silence. The brothers stiffened until the man lowered his cowl to reveal Varys, bald head gleaming. Pardon, my lords.
Urgent digne.
He produced a small copper brooch shaped like a spider. From beneath it unfurled a folded scrap of parchment. From one of my little birds in Old Town. Jaime accepted it warily, scanned. Words few, weight vast. High Septon preparing great sermon against dragonblood. Calls her daughter of madness. Tyrell gold behind this. Crowds to gather. Possible uprising. Jaime clenched jaw. Tyrion whistled. The faith stirs the hive. Bees seldom ask which flowers they ruin. Varys inclined head. If sermons ignite, King's Landing may see flames again. The poor devout outnumber gold cloaks 10-1. Jaime gripped his sword hilt. Has his high holiness forgotten the king's decree? Daenerys is ward of the crown. The faith remembers only its own decrees, Varys said. I counsel swift parley, perhaps a royal visit to Old Town. Tyrion tapped lips. Send Renly, our soon-to-be dragon's groom, to stand by her and display unity. The Tyrells financed the Septon. Let them face him. Jaime shook head. Renly is on Driftmark. Then send King Robert himself, Tyrion suggested with wicked twinkle. He might drink the starry September cellars dry and leave them no wine for revolt. Jaime could not help a laugh. Perhaps, but duty weighed heavier.
Von Ned Stark.
I already have, said Varys, bowing, and vanished like smoke. Tyrion watched him go. Riddles, spiders, sermons. We dance on a blade, brother. Jaime reopened the white book, dipped quill anew. Then let history record how we kept our balance. He wrote, in the year of the stag and sun, Ser Jaime Lannister rode for Winterfell under banner of peace, tasked by the Iron Throne to mend blood that war had spilled. Ink dried fast in summer air, but memory dried slower. Jaime closed the book and prayed, though he knew not which god might listen. At Winterfell's training yard, steel harmony rang sweeter than city clangor. Jon Snow, 19 and lean with muscle grown in watchful nights atop the wall, now sparred with Robb Stark, whose beard sprouted red as autumn leaves. Their wooden blades cracked, parried, swept low in dusty arcs. Nearby, Sansa Stark, home from grandmother's in the Vale, watched while Arya practiced water dancing steps with Syrio Farrell, imported at Ned's insistence to quell his daughter's boundless storms. The Raven arrived mid-morning, black wings beating cobalt sky. Maester Luwin broke the seal, brow knit. He delivered message to Catelyn first. She hastened to her husband in the solar.
Ned Stark riad silently.
Jaime Lannister comes to Winterfell with 1,000 men. Catelyn's eyes widened. 1,000? That is no visit, Eddard. It is occupation waiting for excuse. He claims peace. Ned sat, thumb tracing direwolf on letter. We will host him as honor demands, but swords will not leave sheath until I see their blades. He nodded to Robb outside. Summon banners quietly. I want Lord Hornwood, Manderley, and Glover within a fortnight. Not for war, only to remind golden lions whose forests they tread. Catelyn squeezed his hand. And the babes in Driftmark? If faith denounces Daenerys.
Ned sighed.
One matter at a time. He rose. Tell Maester Luwin to send word south. Winterfell welcomes Ser Jaime. Winterfell stands watch. He looked north to distant wall, imagining shadow of dragons across frozen waste. The world grows stranger than stories. Far east across the Jade Sea, in the city of Karth, 13 masked tradesmen sat encircling Viserys Targaryen. Silk cushions cradled him like a prince, though his tunic was threadbare and dust stained his silver hair. His violet eyes burned fever-bright, fueled by fantasy and stoked by Magister Illyrio's honeyed promises. Promises grown stale after months of travel, bargaining, waiting. Yet today something new glittered within their black-rimmed pupils. A scroll sealed in black wax carried from Dorne. Viserys clutched it as though it were dragon's egg. He read again, "Prince Viserys of the blood of the dragon, Dorne invites your counsel. Peace rests upon your sister. Your voice may shape her crown. Cross the narrow sea under the banner of sun and dragon, and you shall find welcome and safety. Come for peace or not at all." Signed, Doran Nimrose Martell, Prince of Sunspear. The 13 debated in hushed Valyrian. Piet Pri, pale as salt, hissed that Dornish plots reeked of treachery. Zarozoan Daxos argued that alliance with Westerosi Kingdom would open new spice markets. Viserys listened, heart pumping molten gold. They speak of me, he thought. Me, not the beggar prince, but the rightful king. He rose abruptly. I accept the Dornish invitation, he declared. I require a ship, provisions, and 10,000 cells words. Laughter rippled. Kartha's masked lords bargained instead. 3 ships of modest size, 40 eunuch spearmen, a chest of silver. Viserys hissed, but Illyrio whispered, "Accept, my dragon. Seeds need soil, not storms." Viserys relented. Tomorrow they would sail to Dorne. He pocketed the scroll, fingers trembling. He did not notice Piet Pri's cold smile as the warlock bowed low, nor see the shadow behind a lacquered screen where a shadowbinder from Ashai watched with silent interest. Dragons, after all, called to those who played deeper games. At Highgarden, summer burst in riotous color. Climbing roses bleeding scarlet on pale stone, fountains laughing among cedars. The tourney to honor the hand of the king drew knights from as far as the Vale and the Stepstones, though Ned himself remained in King's Landing to quell unrest. Willis Tyrell, master of the lists despite his lame leg, greeted Oberyn Martell amid perfumes of sweet bloom. They embraced stiffly. Oberyn's suspicion met Willis's earnest courtesy. Years ago, a joust's mishap had crippled Willis under Oberyn's lance. Rumor claimed deliberate cruelty, but Willis himself never blamed the Red Viper. Still, ghosts haunted handshake. Willis led Oberyn through the maze garden. "My grandmother bids you welcome," he said, nodding toward a marble bench where Lady Olenna Tyrell sat feeding crumbs to a dozen finches. The Queen of Thorns beckoned. "Oberyn, dear Viper," she crooned, eyes bright beneath bonnet. "Come, show me those clever fingers that twist Dornish daggers. I might need such skill to stitch King Robert's nerves back together." Oberyn knelt, kissed her knuckles. "Lady Olenna, your gardens humble Dorne's desserts." "Nonsense. Your sands bloom with blood, ours with flowers. Both leave stains." She flicked crumb. "Now, Viserys sails to you, does he?" Oberyn hid surprise. "Prince Doran invited him indeed. TCH. Good. Keep an eye. Silver princes misbehave worse than silverfish. And when your dragon babe weds my sweet Renly, we'll have bouquets instead of battlefields." Her gaze sharpened. "If the faith meddles, uproot the faith. A weed is a weed." She rose, leaning on Cain. "Speak with my grandson Loras tonight. He has ideas about a certain September's new vault door." With that she tottered away, finches flurrying. Oberyn smiled. Highgarden's roses had thorns indeed. Back in King's Landing, Ned Stark surveyed the lower market from the ramparts of the Mudgate. The streets teemed despite heat, vendors hawking peppers, potters hammering lids, urchins darting with stolen apples. Yet tension pulsed under commerce. Clusters of penitents in rough-spun chanting verses, eyes fixed upon makeshift icons of the Seven ringed by black candles. Their low hymns spread like oil across cobbles. Dragon's fire, madness dire, spare our souls from crimson pyre. Ned turned to Captain Yano Slint, gold cloak plumes wilting. How many hold vigil? Hundreds nightly, M-Lord. Septons preach fiery doom. They claim the princess carries seed of the Mad King's curse. Any violence? Not yet, but pilgrim numbers swell. Slint shuffled. Some say outlaw Clegane's Durs will join, promise vengeance for their fallen lord. Could turn ugly. Ned's jaw tightened. Double watch at Sept doors. No blades allowed inside holy walls. Escort provisions to soup kitchens. Hunger feeds rage. He paused. And send word to Lord Renly. His presence is needed. A groom calms doubts better than any decree. Slint saluted. As you command. Ned descended stone stairs, mind whirling. The realm's peace hung upon frail shoulders. A babe's, a king's, his own. He longed for North's honest wind, yet duty tethered him like chain. That night he met with Varys and Tyrion in the tower of the Hand Solar. Candles sputtered in glass chimneys, casting flickers upon maps. Varys spoke first. Spies confirm Viserys Targaryen boarded ship, Stormcloud north of Karth. Destination Sunspear, perhaps through lists to avoid blockade. Tyrion poured wine. Another dragon to juggle. Two might wage war over one throne. Then we prevent war, Ned said. When Prince Viserys lands in Dorne, we invite him to Driftmark to stand beside his sister and witness her betrothal. Show the realm Targaryens united behind peace. Tyrion raised brow. And if Viserys refuses, claiming crown? Then we separate him from Sellswords and send him to Old Town under guard. Maesters and Septons can preach him patient. Dragons cannot grow where wisdom reigns. Ned's eyes met theirs. Better a caged dragon than a dead one. Varys steepled fingers. A bold plan, yet we must placate the High Septon before he brands all dragonkind heresy. Tyrion smirked. Offer him a shining new sept in King's Landing, funded by Lannister gold. Bribe piety with marble. Ned grimaced but nodded. Do it. He spread a report from north. Jaime Lannister rides soon. If he journeys in earnest peace, good. If not, Winterfell stands ready. Tyrion lifted goblet. To the Game of Thrones. Played on sand and snow. They drank, though no cheer warmed the room. At Sunspear's moon tower, Prince Doran stood before a long mirror polished from black basalt, wearing robe of unpatterned white. His maester fussed with cuffs while Doran's mind walked battlefields unseen. Each day Gout gnawed deeper. Each sunrise carried ravens bearing contradiction. Highgarden's promises, King's Landing's riots, Viserys' approach, whispers of slaver gold financing a Sellsword company ready to hire. He felt the realm pivot upon a pin, the breath of his decisions stirring storms from Duskendale to Dothraki grass. Elia Sand entered silently. The Griffin is here. Doran allowed a faint smile. Lord John Connington or his shadow? Shadow only. He seeks counsel. Bring him. Soon a hooded figure bowed, removing gloves to reveal a scarred man with hair dyed copper. Prince Doran, he said, voice raspy. I come on behalf of the Golden Company, sworn still to the blood of the dragon. We hear word of peace. Some fear it means surrender. Doran gestured to cushions. Peace is not surrender, Lord Connington. It is strategy sharpened by patience. Connington sat stiff. Sellsword's lost fortunes fighting for your stepniece's father. They will not wait another generation. Doran inclined head. Viserys sails to Sunspear. If he supports Daenerys' betrothal, their cause advances through marriage, not sword. The company could escort him, stand guard, earn coin, and watch their prince's fortunes rise. Connington hesitated. And if he rejects, then I will not harbor him. He may take his sword to Essos and chase ghosts. I prefer living allies to glorious dead. Doran's gaze hardened. Inform your captains. Connington bowed, cloak trailing. Doran watched him leave. Somewhere out at sea, Viserys' ship cut waves toward destiny, and Doran felt the weight of wings in the sky that yet held no dragons. The starry September of Old Town towered grand and serene, lantern spires projecting beams across honeystone rooftops. Pilgrims thronged its marble steps as the High Septon prepared to deliver his sermon. Inside, rose-tinted glass scattered sunlight into sanctified rainbows dancing upon polished pews. Among the crowd moved Loras Tyrell, armor hidden beneath pilgrim cloak. At his side, Joss Stillwater, Olenna's steward, carried a small wicker cage. Within, 6 white doves cooed softly. They climbed balcony stairs overlooking the pulpit where the High Septon, robes of cloth of gold, raised arms to hush congregants. "My children," he intoned, voice rolling like organ thunder. "The father judges, the mother nurtures, the warrior defends. Yet what of the stranger, whose face is fear? He walks among us when dragon blood slithers from shadow. The mad king's sin scorched city and soul. Now his seed seeks to hatch again." Murmurs grew. "Shun the blood of madness," the Septon thundered. "Resist serpents bearing dragons. Cast them from sacred soil before fire consumes." At those words, Loras nodded to Joss. The steward lifted the cage. One by one he freed the doves. They fluttered into sunlight streaming through shattered panel of stained glass. The one depicting the maiden in purity, newly cracked by age. As feathers caught light, each dove ignited into plume of purple flame, dissolving mid-air in fragrant smoke. Gasps erupted. The Septon stumbled back, eyes bulging. Purple smoke coiled around his altar. Sparks zipped like sprites. Then a second shock. In the gallery stood Marjorie Tyrell, hair crowned with simple circlet, holding aloft a small wooden cradle carved with 7-pointed star. Within lay no child, but a scroll tied with violet ribbon. Marjorie spoke, voice carrying, "Behold the peace of Dorne, a princess pledged to the faith, fostered under our gods, not their demons. My betrothed lord Renly Baratheon stands guardian. Who among you would spill blood of babes?" She descended steps, offered the scroll. The Septon seized it, scanning, his color drained. For the scroll bore signatures of King Robert, Prince Doran, and even the archmasters of the Citadel attesting to Daenerys' innocence. A hush fell. In balcony, Loras allowed cloak to slip, revealing Tyrell rose upon steel breast. Ser Aaron Florent joined him, likewise armored. Knights among congregation likewise showed house emblems. Redwine, Rowan, Hightower. The faith's zealots found themselves surrounded not by fearful small folk, but by the Reach's full bloom of power. The High Septon swallowed. "The faith," he proclaimed, voice suddenly meek, "shall pray for the princess's virtue and guide her steps." Applause. Among smiling faces, Lady Olenna watched from shadow, cane tapping satisfied rhythm. One we'd uprooted. At King's Landing, news from Old Town preceded the official raven. Varys relayed details as he and Ned strode along a parapet above Blackwater, gulls screeching overhead. Ned allowed a rare smile. Lady Olenna's garden ethos proves effective. Varys shrugged. Even spiders admire roses at times. He paused, listening to hidden birds. Ser Jaime crosses the neck. Camps near Moat Cailin tonight. Scouts say his men discipline their supply lines, no pillaging. Intent remains uncertain.
Ned, Frau Ned.
I ride tomorrow with 50 men to meet him on the King's Road. If his banners declare peace, we escort him. If deceit, Varys raised hand. Caution, Lord Hand. A duel between lion and wolf would shred treaty threads. Ned's eyes like granite. Peace demands courage, Lady Elia said, but caution has claws. He turned, cloak snapping in sea breeze. Prepare supplies. Iron lanterns swayed in the hold of the storm cloud, casting rippling shadows upon crates of orange wine. Viserys Targaryen paced, impatience burning him hotter than a Sosi sun. Captain Quellan Shaw, a lean man with braided beard, approached. "We make Mere by dawn, your grace. From there to Sunspear perhaps 4 days, winds fair." Viserys nodded but scarcely heard. He traced lines in the air, battle plan, coronation path, throne. "My sister is safe? No harm must befall her until I claim crown." Shaw bowed. Our spies say she thrives. He hesitated. However, Golden Company Captain Black Balak demands confirmation of promised gold before landing. They patrol in 2 galleys behind us. Viserys scowled. They will have gold when I am king. Doran Martell's coffers, Tyrell coin, southern taxes, plenty to share. Shaw rubbed neck. Sel's words prefer certainty to promise. A new voice drifted from shadows. Certainty resides in power, not purses. Piet Pri slipped into lantern glow, eyes opalescent. Accept the warlock's omen, brave dragon. We can show you power beyond numbers. A crown of living flame, wings unseen. Viserys recoiled slightly, but curiosity flickered. What omen? Piet produced a crystal phial holding swirling indigo vapor. Shade of the evening distilled. Drink in house of the undying and glimpse futures. See your path, seize it. Viserys eyed liquid. I drink nothing until I sit on throne. As you wish. Piet bowed, retreating into dark. Viserys turned back to waves glimpsed through porthole. For days until destiny. On the King's Road south of Moat Cailin, 2 banners approached each other beneath low slate sky, Direwolf Grey and Lion Crimson. Jaime Lannister rode at the fore, golden hair streaming like winter wheat. Beside him, his second, Ser Adam Marbrand, and a dozen honor guards. Opposite, Ned Stark wore no crown helm, only plain brigandine and cloak of dark sable. At his side rode Robb and Theon Greyjoy. They halted at arrow range distance. Jaime spurred forward alone. Ned did likewise. They met between lines, hooves sinking in churned mud. Jaime inclined head. Lord Stark.
Ser Jaime.
Beautiful country, Jaime said, glancing at distant pines. Cold, but beautiful. I pray I am welcome. That depends on your business. Jaime produced sealed letter. Tywin's signature, terms of goodwill. No mention of hostages, only trade proposals, apology for Clegane's crimes, and pledge to fund a new Maester's Tower in Winterfell. Ned read carefully. Fine words, yet trust grows slow. Jaime's smile waned. I ride with 1,000. You commanded 3 times that against Greyjoy. If we meant harm, you would still fail, Robb interjected. Jaime's gaze flicked to him, amused. The young wolf grown strong. Ned raised hand. We will host your party, but your soldiers camp outside walls. Kingsguard may enter. No more than 20 at a time. Agreed. Jaime offered gauntlet hand.
Ned klosped.
Both felt tension ease slightly. They turned back to lines. Somewhere in those ranks, spies watched Edmure Tully's covert archers hidden in woodline, ready to fell any lion who lunged. But swords remained sheathed as the columns moved. Peace claimed another cautious breath. 3 days later, Ned received Raven from Old Town. Faith denounces dragon no longer. He allowed himself hope until another scroll dashed it. Wildfire stores missing in Alchemist's Guild, suspected stolen. He summoned pyromancer Bellies to the tower. The gaunt alchemist trembled before the hand. 30 jars vanished. M-Lord. Locked vault forced. We found emblem burnt in door. 3-headed dragon encircled by sun. Ned's blood chilled. A frame job. None of those would brand themselves. He dismissed Bellies, called for Bronn the Sellsword, now serving in City Watch. Find these jars. Quietly. If one ignites within walls, thousands die. Bronn nodded. Coin double standard rate, my lord? Triple when jars recovered. None break. Bronn grinned wolfishly. Then best start counting your coppers. Outside, bells tolled for evening prayers. The city knelt, but Ned remained upright, shoulders bearing weight of dragons, stags, lions, wolves. A storm approached, and he braced to hold the walls together. At Driftmark, a courier galley arrived bearing Olenna's missive. The faith pacified. Renly shared the news with Ser Willem. Obstacles fall, he said, strolling parapet overlooking surf. Soon we may set wedding date. Ser Willem rocked the princess in arms. Smile gentle. She will need a new gown by then. perhaps green and gold to match your stag, or purple, signifying unity. Renly chuckled. Let her pick, but I wager she'll choose red, fiery like Sunspear. He paused, glancing east. We should sail to King's Landing, show the people her face, calm fears.
Sir Willem frowned.
The city still royals. Perhaps wait until Jaime's embassy ends. Renly considered. Perhaps. He bent, tickled Daenerys' chin. She giggled, reaching, tiny fingers wrapping his thumb. Renly felt heart melt. When you're queen, little lady, you'll rule with laughter, not swords. A gull screeched above as if laughing with her. Night settled over the narrow sea. Below the Bloodstone steps, a slender vessel without banner rode to Hidden Cove. Cloaked figures disembarked, carrying wooden crates between them. Atop each lid blazed three-headed dragon encircled by sun. The leader, a lean man with fox mask, opened one to reveal green glowing jars secured in straw. He counted 30, nodded. Another man, lion sigil tattoo peeking from sleeve, handed purse bulging with gold. The fox-masked man bowed. For Dornish glory, the lion tattoo murmured. For Westerland's vengeance. Hands clasped, two plots converged, one blind to the other's intent. In crates, wildfire pulsed like sleeping demon. Morning at Sunspear saw Viserys Targaryen riding through tall gates flanked by spears of gilded bronze. Crowds gathered, curious more than hostile. Rumors of Beggar King preceded him, but so too did legends of dragons. Dorne received him within Tower of the Sun's silk draperies muted heat, though Viserys shone sweat nonetheless. He knelt awkwardly. Rise, Prince Viserys of House Targaryen, Dorne said. You are guest, not supplicant. Viserys stood, eyes darting, noticing the absence of Iron Throne replica he had expected. I come to claim my birthright, he declared. I thank Dorne for sheltering my sister, but now you shall raise banners for me, the true king. Doran's face remained placid. Your sister is betrothed. Her claim and yours entwine. Accept this union and you may rule beside her, through counsel and consent. Viserys' jaw tightened. A king does not share throne. She is child. I am dragon. Oberyn stepped forward, spear but ringing tile. Child or not, she commands more loyalty already than you. Viserys bristled. Because you have ensnared her. I will see her before I decide. Agreed, Dorne said. You will sail to Driftmark under escort. There you may judge. Viserys relaxed marginally. And the Golden Company? They sail behind me. They may camp at Lemonwood until negotiations conclude, Dorne replied. Their swords remain sheathed within my realm. Viserys scowled but nodded, for he lacked leverage. He accepted refreshments, though his thoughts churned. That night, beneath star-streaked sky, he met secretly with Jon Connington in a seaside tavern. The Dornish chain me, Viserys hissed. But wildfire will free me. Connington frowned. What wildfire? Viserys smirked. A gift. 30 jars ready to ignite in King's Landing when dragon commands. He touched pocket where Piet Pre's file clinked. Let lions burn while dragons ascend. Connington's face paled. He pictured small folk screaming in green fire. Your grace, innocent lives. Innocent. Viserys laughed, bitter. Were my niece and nephew spared? My mother? I reclaim with fear what was stolen with fear. Connington's loyalty wavered. The griffin felt his oath tremble. Yet he bowed. The road to Driftmark darkened. In King's Landing, Ned Stark prepared departure for Old Town to assure faith. He left command to Ser Barristan. Hours before dawn, Raven arrived. Crates of wildfire seized at stepstones bound for Prince of Dragons. Note bore Sundragon's seal.
Ned cursed.
Framing deepened. He gathered counsel. Varys, Barristan, Tyrion, Pycelle. We intercept Viserys' convoy. Remove wildfire threat. Unmask conspirators. Tyrion scratched chin. Which conspirators? Lions and suns share emblem now. Varys sighed. Enemies craft illusions, my lords. We must peer through smoke before fire blinds. Barristan offered to sail with white cloaks. Ned agreed. A knock. Maester Pylus delivered message from Winterfell. Jaime hosted. No deceit. Trade progresses. Ned exhaled faint relief. Then another scroll. Riverland's villages raised again. Raiders fly broken lion without tail. Tywin's denial? Or false flag? Ned's headache throbbed. The game's pieces spun madly, each move entangling threads. At Highgarden's tourney final, Loras faced Oberyn in tilt outside tradition. Lance versus spear at full gallop. Crowds roared. Olenna watched, needlework idle. Trumpets blared. Horses thundered. Loras leaned lance. Oberyn angled spear but at last second shifted weight. Tip flicking shield. Loras swayed yet kept saddle. His lance splintered across Oberyn's pauldron. Scoring declared tie. They saluted, removed helms. Sunlight gilded smiles. They danced not as foes but as partners before cheering throng. After, in rose-perfumed solar, they shared wine. Loras spoke quietly. The Reach stands with you, Prince. My king. My brother Renly. Must show face soon or zealots will spin new fears again. Oberyn nodded. He sails within moon. Together we quell flames. Outside, petals fell like blood-stained snow. On the narrow sea, Renly's fleet hoisted anchors, bound for the capital. Seasong led, carrying Princess, Ser Willem, Brienne, and half-dozen sand snakes. Clouds billowed white, winds sang. Renly stood at prow, eyes bright with purpose. Below decks, Daenerys tottered along corridor, gripping woven dragon doll Nymeria sand had stitched. Her laughter echoed, pure. Ser Willem watched, heart light. None knew beneath cargo hold nestled a small crate of green jars, smuggled aboard by deckhand bribed in secret. The straw bedding creaked with every wave. On lid, a faded lion brand and sundragon mark overlapped, confusion by design. The storm had found its tinder, sealed in wood, drifting toward a city of 500,000 souls. Ned Stark rode out through King's Gate at dawn of 9th day since wildfire theft, company of 100, including Barristan set to sail, hammers echoing across cobbles. He paused atop hill, eyeing smoke rising from bakeries. He wondered which plume might next glow green. He prayed Winterfell's hearth remained warm, prayed Jaime's peace held, prayed dragons and lions and stags could share the same sky. The hourglass overflowed, grains tumbling faster. Somewhere inside, a spark waited, and the realm, inhaling, awaited whether peace would at last take root or whether 7 kingdoms would again bloom red beneath dragons' wings.